we have come together to begin our meeting of the Assembly, we humbly beseech you to grant to all our members the light and guidance of your Holy Spirit, that we may wisely take counsel together and come to decisions as shall promote your glory and the well-being of all our citizens in this our land, so that peace and happiness, truth and justice may be enjoyed by all people. Grant this for the sake of Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. Members, you may be seated.
Oath of allegiance of a new member. Announcements by the presiding officer.
Members, welcome. Welcome to our second International Women's Day debate. Thank you for taking up the challenge of presenting on this debate today. Some persons may ask why we have dubbed this sitting the first one for the People's House. Why the People's House? The People's House was established for this very same reason, to allow fellow Tobagonians to be part of what we call active and participatory democracy. The People's House is a place and a forum, a platform for you Tobagonians to have your say in what goes on our island. So again, thank you and welcome to the first ever People's House debate.
Assembly bills sent back from Cabinet, Assembly laws brought back from Parliament, petitions, papers, presentation of reports from Dispute Resolution Commission, Chief Secretary questions, questions to secretaries, questions for leave to move the adjournment of the Assembly on definite matters of urgent public importance, statement by secretaries or assistant secretaries, personal explanations, introduction of bills, motions relating to the business or sitting of the Assembly and moved by a secretary or assistant secretary, public business, executive council business, motion.
Chief Secretary, Ms. Onika Maz.
Thank you, Madam Presiding Officer, for the opportunity to move this timely motion standing in my name. It is indeed an honor and a privilege. Happy International Women's Day to all the special persons and welcome to those in the gallery. Madam Presiding Officer, the motion today reads, whereas the world has incorporated digital technology as a core aspect of most jobs. And whereas the opportunities for employment within these fields have expanded internationally. And whereas the number of females with access to digital and innovation remains at an unacceptable level in comparison to their counterparts. Be it resolved, Madam Presiding Officer, that this House takes the necessary steps to use digital innovation and technology to encourage gender equality. Madam Presiding Officer, this motion is indeed relevant and timely, hence the reason I rise today in strong support of same. This motion seeks to address the critical issue of gender inequality in the digital technology sector. As we all know, the world has incorporated digital technology as a core aspect of most jobs, and the opportunities for employment within these fields have expanded internationally. However, Madam Presiding Officer, despite these advances, the number of females with access to digital technology and innovation remains at an unacceptable level in comparison to their male counterparts. digital technology and innovation can provide equal opportunities for women in the workforce. The use of digital technology can create more job opportunities for women, which can lead, of course, to economic empowerment and equality. Women who may not have had access to certain jobs or industries can now participate on an equal footing, given the expansion of digital technology in the workforce. Therefore, promoting digital innovation and technology can provide women with more opportunities for career development and advancement. According to the World Economic Forum, men are 21% more likely to have access to the internet than women. In the world's least developed countries, this likelihood rises to 51%. Madam Speaker, this is indeed disheartening. Women facing intersectional discrimination, living in communities with lower socioeconomic status, have even lower access to connectivity or any digital device, leading to a string of tremendous consequences, sometimes even vital ones, such as domestic violence. Bridging this digital divide, Madam Speaker, Madam Presiding Officer, requires improved access to internet devices, education, and training. This lack of gender diversity in the digital technology sector is not just unjust, but is also detrimental to the growth and success of this industry. Research has shown that diverse teams lead to better decision-making, increased innovation, and improved financial performance. By neglecting half of the population, Madam Presiding Officer, we are missing out on a wealth of talent, skills, and perspectives, because we know that an empowered woman will cause rivers to flow upstream. It is therefore imperative that we take the necessary steps to use digital innovation and technology to encourage gender equality. This can be achieved in several ways, such as providing equal access to education and training opportunities in digital technology for girls and women. Another way the use of digital innovation and technology to encourage gender equality can be achieved is by encouraging mentorship and networking opportunities for women in the industry and promoting workplace policies that support work-life balance and flexible working arrangements. Also, through initiatives such as providing access to digital tools and platforms for women-led businesses, creating online mentoring and network opportunities, and also providing access to e-learning and skills development programs. Madam Speaker, we also need to address the cultural and social barriers that prevent women from pursuing careers in digital technology, such as unconscious bias, gender stereotypes, and lack of role models. By creating a more inclusive and welcoming environment, we can definitely attract and retain more women in this field and help to bridge the gender gap in the digital technology sector. In conclusion, Madam Presiding Officer, the motion to use digital innovation and technology to encourage gender equality.
Honorable Member, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. is crucial in promoting women's economic empowerment, participation in decision-making processes, and safety and security. By taking the necessary steps to promote digital technology, we can, of course, create a more inclusive and equal society. Therefore, I urge all members of this House to support this motion and work together to use digital innovation and technology to encourage gender equality. I thank you.
Minority Leader, Ms. Nova.
Thank you very much, Madam Presiding Officer, for the opportunity to present this morning. The United Nations describes gender equality as equal rights, responsibilities, and opportunities of women and men and girls and boys. This motion is proposing to use digital innovation and technology to encourage such gender equality. Being a woman born into the digital era, I cannot be against the motion of digital innovation and technology for gender equality. However, we are against the notion that my privileged colleagues on the other side believe that we as a people are equipped or well prepared to zero in on such an initiative at this time. The premise of this motion does not encapsulate the reality of the majority of women in Tobago. Madam Presiding Officer, while having access to multiple devices such as a phone, a laptop, a desktop, a tablet, along with the broadband services necessary for women to stay connected and be knowledgeable in the digital world, while this may be a norm for some, it is simply not the reality for many of our sisters on this island. We have households where there's one device to be shared among a mother and her children. How is this practical for a mother trying to improve her and her child's life through technology and innovation? Let's not ignore the fact that the basic requirements to encourage gender equality through digital innovation and technology is a great expense to begin with, and a monthly expense beyond your initial investment. The social issue of job creation with livable wages needs to be addressed first and foremost. Then, and only then, can we discuss digital innovation and technology to encourage gender equality. Madam Presiding Officer, the women I speak of are living amongst us every day. They are women we work with. They are mothers of children we know and interact with daily. What about the women in rural communities who don't see the importance of digital innovation and technology? The women who don't even log into Facebook to see the latest bacchanal? The elderly women who forget to charge or top up their cell phone for weeks, and that's if they even have a cell phone. Are we going to take the time and attention required by these women to teach them about the importance of this technology? Are we going to train them on how to better use this technology to further their entrepreneurial skills online to earn some extra cash? Are we going to show our grandmothers how to pay their water bills online so they don't have to go into town? Or are we only focusing on the people like my colleagues and myself? Are we going to leave out these very important women in our society? The age of retirement in our country currently stands at 60 years old. Is this initiative truly going to benefit all of the women in our workforce? Madam Presiding Officer, this motion is asking us as women to trust the technology. It is asking us, Madam Presiding Officer, this motion is asking us as women to trust that this technology will improve our lives, whether it be our daily efficiency or to improve our careers. But how can we trust the same technology that is being used to assassinate our characters? None of this information uploaded onto these devices is private. It's stored in a cloud and I'm always being asked to accept some sort of cookie, whatever that may be. It feels as though we are blindly giving away information which we may or may not want shared without much of a choice. How do women trust that the information gathered on us is in safe hands when our in-person systems fail to protect us time and time again? Revenge porn, for instance, and how our justice system handles that. Who do we trust? What can we trust? Madam Presiding Officer, while I can appreciate the thought behind this motion, we need to be real. The use of digital innovation and technology makes us as a people more vulnerable and gives us less control over our daily lives. Before we take steps to use digital innovation and technology to encourage gender equality, we need to be able to take steps to improve our already existing systems so that they serve women efficiently and effectively. It's very disheartening that my colleagues over there believe that bringing forth this motion right now will close the disparities between men and women within the workplace and help to bring about gender equality. There is much more for us to do for our people before we get there. I am not against this motion. I am against it right now. Thank you, Madam Presiding Officer, for the opportunity again.
Member for Mount St. George Goodwood, Ms. Allen.
Good afternoon, Madam Presiding Officer, and thank you for this noble opportunity to join this debate. It is indeed with a great sense of pride that I proffer my stance in favor of today's motion. Join me as I elaborate on how traditionally women have sat on the lower end of most spectrums. Today, I zero in on inequality as it pertains to digital innovativeness and technology. Madam Presiding Officer, in developing countries, for which Trinidad and Tobago is a part of, research has shown that the disparities between men and women regarding digital innovativeness and technology is significant. Women in developing countries lag behind digitalization and innovativeness. According to phys.org, 62% of men use the internet, whereas the figure of women is 57. While the differences in digital access and use between the genders in industrialized countries is small, women in the least developed countries are 12 percentage points behind men. It is obvious that there is an overpowering of men in the digital field in comparison to women. There are significant increases in the number of women rising to top positions. In top position. For examples, presidents, prime ministers, judges, presiding officer of this house. Madam Presiding Officer, I would like to ask all persons here, take a look around. Did they notice that females make up the predominant gender in this house? We should not only wait for occasions like these to highlight the empowerment. We must empower all women to live their fullest potential despite the stereotypical nature of jobs. Women, let us continue to flip the status quo and dismantle the notion of a man's world. This is our world. Madam Presiding Officer, right here in Tobago, how often have we worked in a particular office, be it in the private or public sector, encountered issues with our computers and said, I need to call the IT girl. This is rare, right? And I suggest non-existent in most cases. The composition of majority of IT department within both the private and public sector is men. Even at home, when we encounter issues with our personal devices, and must run into town, have it prepared. Who do we go to? The computer guy. Where then are the women in these fields? It can be said that these jobs belong to men. which of course is very inaccurate statement, as I'm yet to see anything that a woman's brain power lacks the ability to comprehend. Change is indeed constant, but we must press the gas towards an immediate demolition of barriers that constrain women, that box up women. It is time we grow up young girls, encouraging them to be computer scientists, web designers, software engineers, or any of that titles in the inexhaustible list of jobs that relate to digital technology. Madam Presiding Officer, I turn now to salaries that are commensurate with experience and qualification in the field of information technology and digital media. It is undoubtable that there is an ever-evolving and rapidly growing world of technology. From networking to cybersecurity, there is an increased need for specialized persons in these fields. We have begun digitalizing all our files and all our processes in this country. Technology has become a big part in our lives today. More so, the very sudden onset of the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, everything changed where digitalization is concerned. When women are traditionally bound to the more domestic jobs, being cleaners and cooks, they were the ones sent home and experiencing loss of earnings. But given the large shift to online platforms, IT tech prospered significantly. The forced digitization and work from home fueled a greater need to tech staff, and in some cases, an increase in their salaries. Rightfully so, as their demands also increase. On the other hand, increased number of women fail to benefit as of their lack of involvement in these fields. So today, as I commemorate International Women's Day, I champion the call for decreased gender biases in the field of digital technology, and I call for greater empowerment, starting with the home, extending to our teachers in schools, and lastly, the workplace. Let this house stand resolved that, 1, the house is the primary means of socialization, and there must be a shift in the Caribbean parenting dynamics. Parents must encourage their children, no matter their gender, to enter any working environment they so desire. 2, there must be increased community programs catered to both parents and children. These programs are geared toward encouraging them to get involved in digital technology, more so to encourage entrepreneurial ventures in these fields. 3, there should be unlimited sensitization sessions for women focused on technology and provision of hands-on training towards the overall encouragement of women in this field. Let us today as women gathered in this noble house stand resolved that women have a place in digital technology and endeavor to continue breaking down any barrier to entry that may prevent any young woman or girl from entering this career field. Thank you, Madam Presiding Officer.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Member for Bonaccord, Crown Point, Ms. Akila Trim.
Good afternoon, Madam Presiding Officer, my fellow colleagues, persons present in the House, the viewing and listening audience. I take this opportunity to wish all the women of Tobago, Trinidad, and by extension the world a happy International Women's Day. I join this debate in support of this motion that underscores the need to support the marginalized women and girls to make use of innovation and technology to encourage gender equality. In 2015, the United Nations adopted the Sustainable Development Goals with the aim of eradicating poverty and protecting the planet. The overarching mission is that by 2030, which is 7 years from now, we can all enjoy peace and prosperity. The fifth of these 17 identified integrated goals is gender equality. Gender equality advocates that all genders are free to pursue whatever path they want without discrimination. But is the playing field really level? In 2019, the world's reset button was activated with the COVID-19 pandemic. Many women were left jobless with the closure of economies worldwide. That, coupled with continuing global climate crisis, rising economic and political instability, the thrust towards gender equality is under threat. Globally, limited financial, human, and other resources are being stretched to capacity and reprioritized to address the competing needs, leaving the poor among us, our women and girls, most susceptible. Let's face it, a lot of the answers in the current crisis we face lie in our ability to make use of technology and innovation effectively to chart the road ahead. Most of us are aware that technology serves as an entryway into new public spaces, markets, and information. Without a doubt, there is a considerable potential for revitalizing economic activity and greater participation. Britannica explains that technology is the application of scientific knowledge to the practical aims of human life. So yes, some of the mundane tasks that we do day to day exist mainly because of technological advancements. So what is innovation? A Forbes article defines innovation simply as something different that creates value. One thing that was glaringly obvious during the peak of the pandemic in our country is that there is a digital divide between the haves and have-nots. In fact, the pandemic widened that gap significantly. So while the rest of the world quickly transitioned and forged ahead with their tech advancements and innovations during the lockdowns, we were still trying to figure out how to integrate the old with the new. Madam Presiding Officer, we are at a critical point where we must include women and girls as it relates to accessing and using digital technology on a larger scale. The hope is that we inspire meaningful, creative solutions that have greater potential for innovations that specifically meet the needs of women and, by extension, all of society, all while promoting gender equality. The contrast comes with staggering costs. A UN Women's Gender Snapshot in 2022 reported that women's exclusion from the digital world shaved $1 trillion from the GDP of low and middle income countries in the last decade, a loss that will grow to $1.5 trillion by 2025 without action.
Member, you have 4 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Presiding Officer. Digitization and innovation within the public service is a much sought after and seemingly elusive target for us here in Tobago. In 2023, we are still passing around Manila files containing personnel and other pertinent information bound together by treasury tags and bursting at the seams. The end result? Late payments of salaries, years of outstanding gratuities, and unpaid or late payments of suppliers, to name a few. These issues have great knock-on effects and negatively impact the Tobago economy. And while policy ideas like Innovate Tobago and Tobago Online are a step towards bringing all of Tobago in this technological age, we need to take firmer action regarding the implementation of these and other policies. Women in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics fields in Tobago are rare. It was just last year my friend stood here in this esteemed house lamenting her struggles as a female engineer in Tobago. I am sure that many of us presently know of others who are adequately qualified with degrees in tech-related fields, and somehow they are underemployed, unemployed, completely disrespected or disregarded in the workplace. We do Tobago a great disservice when right here, residing in our island, exists some human resources with the capacity to move Tobago into and beyond the 21st century. Madam Presiding Officer, given all that was said, how do we here in Tobago create gender equity through the use of digital innovation and technology? A February 2023 article from the UN's Women.org explains these steps. 1, close all gaps in digital access and skills. This initiative must start within the schools and the communities, especially in those rural areas, to ensure that those left marginalized in the digital divide are afforded access to digital technologies. 2, supporting women and girls in STEAM. Academics have now included A in the STEM situation where it represents art. This is a more inclusive approach to the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics fields. Where now artists also use digital technology to produce their work. So now we must now foster and encourage women and girls to get into the STEAM fields. 3, create technology that meets the needs for women and girls. If technology is to reflect its creators, then women and girls must be involved in its creation. We ought to be creating more inclusive and less biased tech stacks. Women and girls must have a voice when it comes to the design and implementation of new digital tools. 4, address technology-facilitated gender-based violence.
Honorable Member, your time has elapsed.
Thank you.
But Leader of Assembly Business.
Madam Presiding Officer, I beg to move that the speaking time for the member be extended by further 2 minutes.
Members, the question is that an additional speaking time of 2 minutes be given to the member to conclude. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any against? The ayes have it. Member, continue.
Thank you, Madam Presiding Officer. Fourthly, address technology-facilitated gender-based violence. Every day, women and girls are subjected to acts of violence through the use of technology. There is a disturbing trend where we as end users make use of social media platforms to speak disparagingly of others. Some go as far as making fake profiles to say the most vile things. It makes you wonder if fact-checking, due diligence, or basic human kindness are alien concepts to us. What makes this particularly challenging is that the damage is done virtually. However, the effects can manifest physically, psychologically, and socially. To address this serious concern, there is need for more effective legislation to protect women and girls, not only in the physical space, but also in the cyber world. Without it, this type of abuse can become a hindrance to persons trying to socialize and organize digitally in this current climate. In conclusion, Madam Presiding Officer, we, the members on this side, understand now more than ever is a critical time to create opportunities for women and girls and the marginalized among us to make use of digital innovation and technology to foster gender equity in Tobago. To consider otherwise is a quick march into the digital dark ages and socio-economic stagnation. I leave you with a quote from the late Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Women belong in all places where decisions are being made. Thank you, Madam Presiding Officer.
Member for Belgarden Glamorgan, Ms. Joseph.
Madam Presiding Officer, before I begin my debate, let me take this opportunity to wish my fellow ladies and girls a happy National Women's Day. As the member for Belgarden Glamorgan today, I stand against this motion. Although technology has brought many benefits and advancements to society, it can also have negative effects on gender equality. Here are some examples. 1, reinforcing gender stereotypes. According to Oxford Language Publisher, a stereotype is a widely held but fixed and oversimplified image or idea of a particular type of person or thing. Technology can perpetuate gender stereotypes with products and advertisements geared towards traditional gender roles. For instance, many video games depict women as damsels in distress, while male characters are portrayed as the hero. This can reinforce the idea that women are not capable of being heroes or taking on leadership roles. 2, cyberbullying, and online harassment. Technology has also facilitated the spread of cyberbullying and online harassment, which disproportionately affect women. Social media platforms, messaging apps, and online forums can be used as tools to harass, stalk, and intimidate women. This can create a hostile environment that can lead to fear and anxiety. We see evidence of cyberbullying in a survey identified by UnitedNationsWomen.org, which states that 73% of women journalists from over 125 countries suffer online violence during work. 3, discrimination in AI and algorithms. Artificial intelligence and machine learning algorithms can reflect the biases of their creators, leading to discrimination against women and other marginalized groups. For example, facial recognition technology has been shown to be less accurate in identifying women and people of color. This can have serious consequences, such as inadequate identification and false arrests. 4, gender pay gap in tech industry. Women are underrepresented in the tech industry, and when they are hired, they often receive lower salaries and fewer opportunities for advancement compared to their male colleagues. This can perpetuate the gender pay gap and limit women career opportunities in the industry. 5, lack of access to technology. Women in developing countries often have limited access to technology due to factors such as poverty and lack of infrastructure. This can prevent them from accessing education, health care, and job opportunities, leading to further gender inequality. In conclusion, Madam Presiding Officer, while technology has the potential to be a powerful tool for promoting gender equality, it can also perpetuate gender stereotypes, facilitate harassment and discrimination, and exacerbate exciting gender inequalities. It is important to be aware of these issues and work towards addressing them to ensure that technology is used in a way towards promoting equality and empowers women. I thank you.
Thank you. Member for Signal Hill, Patience Hill, Ms. Sargent.
Hill would be an advocate for this motion. The Norwegian Ministry of Foreign Affairs revealed that the efforts in the fight for women's rights have given millions of girls and women more access to employment, technology, education, and health services. The opportunity to exert an influence in politics and economic independence. However, opportunities for access to digital technology and innovations have remained woefully unacceptable. Gender equality is not just for women, it is also about the changing relations between women and men, and an active participation of men is therefore vital for its success. Digital technology incorporated in the workplace. Digital technology has had an impact on every area of our lives. We can manage almost all our entire lives through our smartphone, from arranging appointments to paying bills. Technology can and innovations have also found a way into the workplace and have been accelerated at a rapid pace since the COVID pandemic, completely revolutionizing the way we work. As digital technology embedded into workplace, it can unsettle workers within the technologies industry. Artificial intelligence and automation able to replicate elements of our jobs, it's easy to see why half of workers believe they may be replaced by automations or AIs or robots in the next decade. The expanding employment opportunities globally over the last 2 decades, the labor market has undergone a rapid transformation, with most jobs today requiring at least a fair amount of computer skills and digital knowledge. Jobs like school teachers, medical assistants, or construction workers, which are not tech jobs. In 2023, require fluency with an ever-growing array of software and devices. As of 2020, more than 3/4 or 75% of our jobs are considered medium or high-skilled when it comes to technology. That is a big difference from 2002, when workers in low-level digital skills jobs made up more than half of the labor force, according to the Brookings Institute report. Unacceptable access to digital technology and innovation for women. According to the United Nations, women make up only 22% of artificial intelligence workers globally. They further reveal that a global ongoing of 133 AI systems across industries found that 44.2% of them demonstrated gender bias. Additionally, a survey of women journalists from 125 countries found that 73% had suffered online violence in the course of their workplace, from the earliest days of computing to the present age of virtual reality and artificial intelligence. Women have made untold contributions to this digital world.
Member, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you. In which we increasingly live. Today, preversing threats of online gender-based violence, coupled with a lack of legal resources, to often force them out of the digital space they do occupy. Using digital innovation and technology to encourage gender equality. At the same time, digital technology opens new doors for the global empowerment of women, girls, and other marginalized groups. From gender-responsive digital learning to tech-fluent felicitated survey, sexual and reproductive health care. The digital age represents an unprecedented opportunity to eliminate all forms of disparity and inequality. In conclusion, To combat this problem in digital education for girls can be a central focus. We can also ensure that girls and women have equal access to learning, relevant technical skills, and digital learning in schools and throughout training programs so they can take advantage of technology and digital tools without any stigma. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Honorable Member Boyce, you may join the debate.
Thank you, Madam Presiding Officer. And to my fellow colleagues and those joining us physically and virtually, happy International Women's Day. And I greet you on this very important day as we are gathered and apt to support a motion for this House to take the necessary steps to use digital innovation and technology to encourage gender equality. Sadly, my colleagues and I on this side are challenged by the motion and are unable to support it at this time. The motion has gaps which, if not addressed, will make today's debate a waste of all of our time. The first challenge I wish to raise is that by bringing this motion on International Women's Day, it immediately draws focus to inequalities in only one gender. Secondly, the motion neglects the accessibility of educational opportunities to all boys and girls in Trinidad and Tobago. And finally, it assumes that our telecommunication infrastructure is sufficient for a focus on digital innovation and technology. Under the first assumption, in relation to the term gender equality, by choosing this day to bring such a motion, it is inevitable that our discussion will focus on women. However, are we also considering that men may also be excluded and disadvantaged? The United Nations, in its definition, states that gender equality is not a woman's issue, but should concern and fully engage men as well as women. Sadly, as we are gathered here to debate gender equality, I see no men present. We understand that in the field of innovation and technology, there are more men than women, but there are also careers that are dominated by women. According to the International Labour Organization, when they assessed the percentage of employment by sex and occupation among 121 countries in 2019, found that women made up 69% of health workers. In the teaching fraternity, women made up 68% of the workforce, and in the legal profession, 53% of the workforce. And just as one of my colleagues on the other side said, in Tobago, most of our administrators, our teachers, our psychologists, social workers are women. Even nationally, our current and future presidents are women, which is an example of how, over the years, women have taken hold of opportunities available to progress in their various careers. Have we also considered that by focusing on progressing women's rights, by having careers such as teaching being dominated by women, that we are contributing to the absence of visible male role models for our boys? The World Prison Brief reported that in 2018, 94% of Trinidad and Tobago's prison population was made up of men. Many of these prisoners represent the absence of fathers in many boys' lives. Considering these statistics, we cannot see that jumping on this international bandwagon as totally beneficial in our context. Yes, more can be done for women, and yes, some careers are dominated by men. But what about our men? What about our boys? Are we also focusing on them and where they are not represented? These are serious questions to be answered. On the second point of education, in Trinidad and Tobago, both boys and girls are afforded the same education. While we consider there are social and socio-economic challenges that families face and even children face, on the topic of gender equality, all students are given freedom to choose the careers that they wish to pursue. At the university level, there's no restriction to the number of women that can be admitted to engineering, medical, information technology, or any kind of science field. The University of the West Indies, in its gender policy, makes a commitment to examine and, where necessary, address underrepresentation of male and female students, respectively, in its programs, particularly those linked to growing sectors of the economy or that are key to regional development. The field of digital and information technology is a growing field, and UWI is committed to ensuring that gender bias does not exist in relation to the admission of its students. My final point addresses our telecommunication infrastructure. One of the premises of this motion is that the world has incorporated digital technology as a core of most jobs. But it fails to consider the disadvantages associated with placing digital technology at the focus of operations in an environment where the telecommunication infrastructure is unreliable. Madam Presiding Officer, we live in a country where at any given day we can be held at ransom by fiber optic disruptions which cause network failures and Wi-Fi inconsistencies. In Tobago, this is worsened during...
You have 2 minutes.
Thank you. In Tobago, this is worsened during Jazz, Easter, Heritage, Carnival, or any time where we have an influx of domestic or international tourists on the island. Dependence on digital technology can therefore stymie operations if our infrastructure is not improved. Trinidad and Tobago's draft National ICT Plan, developed in 2017 by the then Ministry of Public Administration and Communication, identified connectivity as a major challenge to achieving its goals. It states that while broadband infrastructure build-out is being encouraged through competitive markets, sole reliance on market forces may not be sufficient to meet the nation's broadband needs. In this regard, government funding and/or regulatory intervention may be needed to ensure that such needs are met. We must therefore focus on improving our current telecommunications and broadband infrastructure before we can try to place focus on using digital technology and innovation to encourage gender equality. We propose that rather than using this day and international statistics to effect policy change to make more opportunities available for women, gender inequality should be identified across all careers and made attractive to the disadvantaged gender. If we want to see a reduction in our crime penetrated by men, we need more men in careers that shape the minds of our children, such as teaching, social work, guidance, and psychology. Furthermore, before we can create new innovative and technology opportunities, our telecommunication infrastructure should be improved so that internet reliability and accessibility become the norm. Pursuing careers dependent on technology will then be easier and more consistent once companies, employees, and even entrepreneurs can rely on stable connections. In closing, my colleagues and I wish to caution that if we focus on equality of one gender, if we only look at how women are disadvantaged, then we are not advocating for gender equality. Thank you.
Honorable Member, Ms. Judith Trim, you may now join the debate.
Good afternoon, Madam Presiding Officer, fellow debaters. Happy International Women's Day to you all. Today is another unique day for us in this chamber, our special day, all female. But before I say my 2 bits, Madam Presiding Officer, through you, I would like to inform the movers of this motion that since 2019, Trinidad and Tobago began celebrating International Women's Day. And so this occasion has been celebrated now for many years. And for us to be able to do our research and to be able to do justice for our special day on the various topics being presented to us, we should be given ample time to prepare, and not just a few hours, Madam Presiding Officer. Today, I am not sure how justice could be done, as only last evening I was still, and I am sure many of us were doing the same, researching so that we can come here today to make the movers of this motion look good, but we too want to sound and look good. Madam Presiding Officer, I recall the 2019 theme was Think Equal, Build Smart, Innovate for Change. For many years, when the female tried to enter the fields of work, she had been enticed, abused, and misused so she can obtain that job. And that was then. And today, there are many women who still go through this type of situation, even more so in the digital world. Why increase digitization when we are seeing it is being used personally to maneuver and intimidate women? Imagine I am making love, concentrating on being the best, but instead on concentrating on our feelings, a movie is being directed. Is this why you want to digit all? Madam Presiding Officer, I do not agree. What really is innovation and technology for gender equality? Since 2019, that same word, innovate, was part of the theme. And now as we innovate the innovations, where are the organizations to employ us? Do we always have to be part of a movie scene? No, Madam Presiding Officer. While technology have improved our lives, it can be very harmful. And according to Dr. Maxwell Adieme, and I quote, they have the potential to cause untold hardship, pain, and even health hazards if improperly and unwisely utilized. Look how many females are going missing. Do you know why is that? Technological methods such as phones, the various wireless devices that those without a genuine and kind heart can easily communicate with others like themselves to bring us harm.
You have 4 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Presiding Officer. That is not what we were born to do, Madam Presiding Officer. We are being used against our will in ways that can cause strange things to happen. Over the years, and from time to time, as technology advances, whether in the field of play, schools, the workplace, or organizations, we females are sometimes being compromised in a way that has affected not only us socially, but even our social anatomy. Perhaps aspiring to reach such goals and the type of technology being used, because as one advances, the methods being used also advances. If we look at the earlier part of the motion, which says, digit all, that word all at the end of digital, are we saying everything must be digitized in the workplace? We females have invested so much into our society that have made you, Madam Presiding Officer, in the position in this very chamber today. Our natural brain and our natural hands held the tools from a hammer to a pen to a computer, and we are still communicating and achieving. And to whose advantage, may I ask? Just a simple analogy. Supposing electricity goes suddenly, and I am about to send a piece of communication. I should then tap my brain, pick up my pen and paper, and write the correspondence, and either send it by a messenger or myself carry it to the intended party. It is not that you are shutting down digitization, but your own common sense at the spur of the moment allows you to continue. But even with this digitization, the system takes you far too long to become up and running again. So I do urge the movers of this motion to rethink. Thank you, Madam Presiding Officer.
Thank you. Madam Chief Secretary, you may now wrap up this debate.
Thank you, Madam Presiding Officer. While I take note of the contributions of the members on the other side, I maintain, along with my colleagues, that digital innovation and technology should be utilized and encouraged for gender equality. When we address this issue, the vulnerable amongst us and the women in Tobago will then be empowered. Madam Presiding Officer, the member on the other side mentioned revenge porn due to technology. However, we cannot blame the technology we have for the actions of persons using it. What we can do is trust the technology once we learn to use it and use it well. Hence, we, the members on this side, encourage education and training in order to change the narratives mentioned by the members. Madam Presiding Officer, I wish to mention the likes of female texts such as Marianne Crook, creator of VoIP, the technology behind Skype, Zoom, and more, which we found very useful during the COVID pandemic season. If more women become empowered, we can overcome some of the challenges mentioned by the members on the other side. Access to technology will definitely benefit the vulnerable in society, especially those affected by domestic violence, since it has the potential for economic empowerment and increased gender equality. In addition, this can offer employment opportunities, income, and also strengthen women's decision-making abilities. I conclude by highlighting the need for more women in the artificial intelligence and digital technological field so that less errors will be found. I thank you.
Members, the question put is, whereas the world has incorporated digital technology as a core aspect of most jobs, and whereas the opportunities for employment within these fields have expanded internationally, and whereas the number of females with access to digital technology and innovation remains at an unacceptable level in comparison to their counterparts, be it resolved that this House takes the necessary steps to use digital innovation and technology to encourage gender equality. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any against? Nay. Clerk? Need to do a division?
Madam Presiding Officer, I beg to request an invitation.
Is that assembly business or do you vote?
Yes,
Say aye.
aye.
For. Yes, no.
Yes.
Chief Secretary, how do you vote?
Yes.
Assemblyman.
Yes.
Assemblyman Drake.
Yes.
Assemblyman Sargent.
Yes.
Assemblyman Paul.
Yes.
Assemblyman Stool. How do you vote? No. Assemblyman Anderson. No. Assemblyman Crane. Assemblyman, how do you vote? Assemblyman, how do you vote? Assemblyman, how do you vote? Nay. Assemblyman Joseph? Nay. Assemblyman God? No. Assemblyman Luca?
Unfortunately, this motion has been denied.
Madam Presiding Officer, I beg to move that the House be adjourned to a date to be fixed.
Members, the question put is that this House stands adjourned for a date to be fixed. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any against? The ayes have it. Thank you and good afternoon.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I am Sophia Cooper, the Special Programs Coordinator at the Assembly Legislature, and I am indeed delighted to see all of you here today.